Guys, good to be with you. Man, we have got a show. No cigar today. Just don't ask. There'll be one later. Have no fear and check it out. That is the chronograph from Von Reist. Von Reist watches. Be sure to go to vonreist.com. Put in promo code CATS. Get your discount to Von Reist. Get yourself a watch assembled right here in Indiana, in America. Do that now. All right, let's start a show.
President's posture and our military posture has not changed. The president was just simply raising a question that I think many people around the world are asking. If the Iranian regime refuses to give up their nuclear program or engage in talks, we just took out their nuclear program on Saturday night, as you all know. But if they refuse to engage in diplomacy moving forward, why shouldn't the Iranian people rise up against this brutal terrorist regime? That's a question the president raised last night. But as far as our military posture, it hasn't changed.
For the record, that's a nice spin, Caroline Levitt, but that isn't what the president said. It's exactly what the president should say. It's not what he said. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. 1,000% that spin. And that's all right. That's what you expect from a White House press secretary. This came from the statement from President Trump that said it's not politically correct to use the term regime change. But if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MEGA, make Iran great again, which is interesting because I know this radio host. His name's Tony Katz. Oh, unbelievable. Smart, funny, totally sexy. What a piece. And he, just a week or so ago, put out Make Persia Great Again. Of course, this is the way it is. But regime change has to come from within, and that is the story. Did I say hello, Tony Katz? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you, because it is. It's good to be with you, and of course, it was the unexpected there. It was the announcement that this bombing raid took place, that it was successful, that you had these B-2 bombers basically traversing the world. It's pretty impressive stuff. It's not for the faint of heart to be able to pull off something this remarkable. And it was. Sending B-2 bombers from Whiteland Air Force Base to Iran to drop 14 MOPs, massive ordnance. Oh gosh, I just forgot the P. Penetrators. Was that penetrators? Is that what we stand for with MOP? Bunker busters. Massive ordnance penetrator. No, that is right. 14 of them. That's a pretty impressive. The largest bombing raid of its kind ever. And then to return to the United States without a missile being fired at you, without a shot being fired by the Iranians. The president himself.
Massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades.
It was a very impressive operation. It's not to be denied that it was an impressive operation. What was done here is quite simply amazing. In trying to break it down, in understanding it, the level of deception that was utilized, the ways in which we sent out messages that were completely unrelated to the truth. All warfare is deception. This is nothing new here. It is amazing stuff. If you did not hear General Dan Kane, let me share with you what it is, as chairman of the Joint Chiefs, he said about this operation.
At midnight Friday into Saturday morning, a large B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States. As part of the plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific as a decoy, a deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders here in Washington and in Tampa. The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land, the B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command Area of Responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Esfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package at high altitude and high speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile threats. The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command.
It's unbelievable. As you hear them explain it and break it down, as you hear the general do this was Sunday morning, about a little after 8 a.m. Eastern time, explaining it, called Operation Midnight Hammer was the name of the operation. And you thought that was the name of the operation when your husband taps you in the middle of the night and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" That's not it. This is it. And it is a far more impressive than we know.
As the strike package approached Fordo and Natanz, the U.S. protection package employed high-speed suppression weapons to ensure safe passage of the strike package, with fighter assets employing preemptive suppressing fires against any potential Iranian surface-to-air threats. We are currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordow. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again,
let's just take a moment. 6:40 to 7:05, which means they did all of this in 25 minutes. In 25 minutes, as they were flying in, they had the coordination to be able to drop 14 of these 30,000-pound bombs. These MOPs, massive ordnance penetrators. And then they turned around and left before anyone got a shot off at them.
and that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace and the package began its return home. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out. Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise. In total, U.S. forces employed approximately 75 precision-guided weapons during this operation. This included, as the president stated last night, 14 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, marking the first ever operational use of this weapon. I know that battle damage is of great interest. Final battle damage will take some time, but initial battle damage assessments indicate that all 3 sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction.
This is, of course, going to be the question. What damage was done? How serious was the damage? Can the Iranians, meaning the Ayatollah and the regime, repair? How quickly could they do so? Is the nuclear threat from Iran eliminated or only merely postponed? They're all good questions. They're all legitimate questions. But the thing that I brought up earlier that must be gotten to is this a lead up to the very idea of regime change? Do I favor regime change? And the answer is absolutely I do, just not from us. It is not up to the United States to engage regime change in Iran. It is, I think, our job necessarily to be a friend. I think it is our job to be supportive of those who want a better life. I think we should be very clear. I said this with Barack Obama during the Green Uprising. We are prepared to be your friend. We want to be your friend. We are only hopeful to have this opportunity. But you have to do this work. You have to be the ones who do this. It cannot be the United States that says the Ayatollah is gone. Here you go. And here's your constitution. Here. No. It has to be the Iranian people. They have to rise up. They have to say, here are our lives, our honor, our sacred fortune. They have to be the ones who say, we want this better for our children, our grandchildren, and we will sacrifice it now. It must be them. Did Israel make it easier for them? Absolutely, positively. Did the United States stopping the nuclear ambitions make it easier? Most probably. But if the Iranians are not willing to do it, can't be done. And I think it is imperative that the world know this. It is imperative that the Iranians know this. That I want the Ayatollah gone. I don't care if the guy dies. It means nothing to me. But the Iranians have to be the one to do this. For being a threat to the world, if the Ayatollah died in one of these Israeli bombing raids, I will not shed a tear. But if he's still there and the mullahs are still in power, take the Ayatollah out of it, it is up to the Iranian people to take the mullahs out of power and to put forth something better, to which the United States should be first in line with an outstretched arm to say, welcome, friend. Let's engage some trade, shall we? Do I disagree with the bombing raid from the United States on these nuclear facilities? Absolutely not. I'm down with it. I'm fine with it. It was the right move, and it was done brilliantly. Not well, not acceptably, brilliantly. And I hope it was successful. And I hope for a better future for the people of Iran. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Guys, welcome back. Good to be with you. Tony Katz. That's me, Tony Katz Today. I don't know if everybody sees the bombing raid the way I do. Certainly, I already have my anti-Zionist trolls on the socials. Listen, I absolutely support Israel's right to exist and defend themselves and be proactive in their defense. I support the concept. If that makes me a Zionist, I'm a Zionist. I apologize for nothing. But I've been called a Zionist shill more times in the past 3 days. Oh, you're just a slave to Israel. Oh, it's just... I don't give a damn what these people think on these subjects at all. They mean nothing. You think that this was all about Israel? The one thing I wish Trump had talked about is why this is about America. That the removal of Iran's nuclear capacity is about a better America. That should have been the conversation. Does Israel, get helped out? Absolutely. Is Israel better off for it? Undoubtedly. Was Israel supportive of this? No question. Did they ask for our help? You bet. Whose interest was it in? Ours. I think that should have been his argument. I absolutely do. But if you think I'm going to shy away from being called a Zionist or think it's a problem, these people can kiss my ass 4 ways from Sunday. They mean absolutely nothing to me. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, they're the reason I walk around with my head on a swivel. These people are violent, dangerous people, and they're gonna become more so in my view, because they just can't wrestle with the fact that someone may disagree with them, and they can't accept the fact that a foreign policy may take place regardless of what Israel thinks. They honestly think that that they think I'm paid and you're led by the nose on foreign policy. God, that's a great way to not have a conversation. Oh, and I'll get into Massey coming up with this just ridiculous stupidity. We'll get to it. Back to the show. Now, we have a bunch of stuff to break down on this subject, but there is more than the attack going on. Certainly, there's some very interesting economic news regarding what took place in Biden's 4 years as president, or whoever was actually president at the time. And I want to bring that to you. Also, I'll have more on the radio show about this church attack in Michigan. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. You have Kristi Noem. She is the Secretary of Homeland Security. She'll be visiting a series of Central American nations talking about immigration. This is a policy that I've long advocated for, that the best, I think, opportunity for us in limiting illegal immigration. Certainly, we've done a great job of it just by implementing the laws that we have and creating a level of seriousness that Joe Biden or whoever was running the country simply would not do. And so when I make the statement that Joe Biden has blood on his hands from what he allowed to happen at the border, and the illegal immigration and the fentanyl and the killings, that is on him. Because he didn't try, because he didn't care. His legacy should be that of blood on his hands, nothing else. His legacy is the Inflation Reduction Act. He might be better off with the blood on his hands. That's a pretty dark thing to say right there. But I argued then on this show that what we should be seeing is movement within these Central American countries to see how we can be investors in these Central American countries, how we can help them grow and build and thrive. Because when there's opportunity, people don't leave. They don't leave the country where things are successful, where the money is flowing, where the crime rate is going down. They don't leave. They're not looking. They're not going to be coming our way. Now, certainly the cartels who think they can make money off this are going to continue to kidnap and continue to extort and do all those things. I'm not saying no, but when you have a more thriving society, you also have less opportunity for the cartels to thrive. We should be very proactive in this. We should want to be in helping these Central American countries thrive and build. And seeing Kristi Noem there to have these conversations, Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, and Guatemala, I like that a lot. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. So much of the story of the day is about this attack. I mean, I do have some other things to go over. All right, I'll go over it because Democrats are all sorts of angry. Oh, they're all sorts of upset. We weren't warned. Yes, you were warned. And by the way, nobody had to warn you. You didn't have to be told anything. This is unconstitutional. I don't think that's the case. It certainly wasn't unconstitutional when you were overjoyed when Biden was doing it, when Barack Obama was doing it. But we can talk about it. Representative Ocasio-Cortez thinks Trump should be impeached. Well, good. Knock yourself out, boo-boo. You go ahead and give that a go, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're still rewarded by your party for talking out your butt. Right? So. To answer your question, Madeline, a Zionist is somebody who advocates for an independent Jewish state. I guess that's the best way to put it. There can be a Jewish state that's for Jews, and by the way, it's for everybody else, which can't be said for many Muslim nations that would kill you if you're Jewish, and Israel is like, hey, here you go. Just can't be denied. The Marxists try and deny it, and others, they somehow don't want to pretend they don't want to understand that issue. They're just the grossest people. Nothing's more gross than a Marxist. And that really is a very encompassing term. Anyway, back to the radio show in just a minute, and we'll talk about the angry Democrats, shall we? Yes, we shall.
Nuclear weapons program without the threat of American action. We had a limited window in which we could take out this Fordo nuclear facility in particular. The president decided to take it, but we didn't blow up the diplomacy. The diplomacy never was given a real chance by the Iranians. And our hope, Kristen, as the president said repeatedly, is that this maybe can reset here. The Iranians have a choice. They can go down the path of peace, or they can go down the path of this ridiculous brinksmanship of funding terrorism, of trying to build a nuclear weapon, and that's just not something the United States can accept. I want to say something, Kristen, just to the Iranian leadership. Look, they have tried to build a nuclear weapons program. That program is now destroyed. They tried to build a conventional missile program to attack neighbors in the region. That missile program has shown to be a failure. They have funded terrorism aggressively in the region, and now most of their terrorism proxies are destroyed. The Iranians are clearly not very good at war. Perhaps they should follow President Trump's lead and give peace a chance.
Now, I wonder how hard that was for J.D. Vance to say. Because all reporting, to the extent you believe any of it, is that, wow, J.D. Vance was really opposed to this, and he was opposed and thought that Israel was being a little too pushy and all this. J.D. Vance is a smart guy. But I'm less impressed with him than I was a couple months ago. That's a personal take. It's not about this. It's about some of the other moves that have been made. I should really do a whole presentation on that to explain my point of view. But I do think he was opposed to the strikes at first. I do think he was opposed to the concept. It really is counter to things that he has said. But as vice president, the president says it's go time. And that's that. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com, and I do agree with him. The Iranian leadership is terrible at war. I mean, they're ignorant. They have failed on every. The only thing they're good at is terrorism, And that's one of the things that it has people concerned after these strikes is an asymmetrical response from the Iranians. And you have that notification via the NBC News folk, and other places had this. Iran set to communicate to Trump in the days before last night's strike, meaning Saturday night's strike, on its nuclear facilities, threatening to activate sleeper cell terror inside the United States if it were attacked. Do I think that's true? I think that that's absolutely true. I 1000% think that that is true. Tom Homan, who was on Fox News, I should really say where these things came from. That was Vice President J.D. Vance on Meet the Press on NBC. This is Tom Homan on Fox with Maria Bartiromo.
Can you assess that issue particularly? How many Iranians are in the country that are in sleeper cells trying to do bad to America right now?
Well, look, you and I have talked about this many times. I said the last 4 years, my biggest concern was this open border was the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. So I pulled numbers this morning just from a CBP under Joe Biden. There was 1,272 nationals of Iran released in the country between OFO and the Border Patrol. And you compare that to the Trump administration, zero. Right, zero releases. And right now, because of President Trump's leadership, we have the most secure border in my lifetime, most secure border in the history of this nation. So we have a secure border. That was President Trump's big win on securing this nation. So we're not releasing people in this country. Special interest aliens aren't crossing that border undetected. But under Joe Biden, we had over 10 million people cross that border. But my biggest concern from day one, beyond the fentanyl, beyond the sex trafficking women and children, were the 2 million known gotaways. Over 2 million people crossed that border. We don't know who they are, where they came from, because they got away, because Border Patrol is so overwhelmed with the humanitarian crisis that Biden created that over 2 million people crossed the border and got away.
That's a legitimate issue. And that's a legitimate concern there from the border czar. I hate the term, but I like the guy, Tom Homan. The left has responded to these attacks with its standard kind of pablum, which is, how dare Donald Trump? Who does he think he is? And we should impeach him. Representative Ocasio-Cortez wants to impeach Donald Trump. And as I said, go right ahead. Oh, you never notified us. That's not true. As a matter of fact, Hakeem Jeffries put out a statement saying he was never notified. He leads the Democrats in the House. He was notified, or at least they tried. Schumer was notified. There was notification given. I don't know if it has to be given, because remember part of this story about this attack on the Iranian nuclear facilities, which are, of course, very real and very dangerous. It's the conversation of the OPSEC, the Operation Security. Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
According to the president. The other thing I can point out, Brett, is that this is an operation in the last 18 years since I've been at the Pentagon. I've never seen such operational security. There was nobody speaking about this, any of the preparations. There was a complete lockdown, almost a blackout of information for the last few days. I'm sitting here in the Pentagon right now. I can tell you the hallways are empty, and all of the information is coming right now out of the White House.
Why did that happen? How were they able to have such security and not have any leaks? Maybe because they fired all the Democrats. Maybe because they fired all the leakers. Maybe everything that was done to clean house was absolutely, positively the right move to make. A move that needed to be made. And now the Democrats are angry and screaming that it is unconstitutional what it is Donald Trump has done. But it wasn't unconstitutional when Joe Biden was doing it, or whoever was running the country. It wasn't unconstitutional when Barack Obama was doing it. then Democrats were in favor of it. They do not get to decide the moments when the Constitution comes into play. If they thought it was unconstitutional, it was always unconstitutional. But they didn't always think that. And screaming unconstitutional because you don't like the guy in power is ridiculous. But even more ridiculous is saying you took out Iran's nuclear facility. Boy, are we angry. You took out Iran's ability to utilize a nuclear weapon as a threat against us. Man, we're furious with you. Ooh. Donald Trump got the Democrats to support Iran. Now, admittedly, it didn't take much. I mean, they were already protesting for Palestine. They're not protesting for Palestine. They're protesting for the end of Western civilization. They're protesting for the total annihilation of Israel. They're protesting to get rid of the United States, that we should be subject to them. Those people, Marxists, those people, Islamists, I don't give a damn what you call them. Those people aren't good enough. We're better than them. I think we should go show them. And Democrats are siding with them. That is special. Democrats, and according to Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, Thomas Massie.
First of all, we did make bipartisan calls. Thomas Massie and the Democrats, he should be a Democrat because he's more aligned with them than with the Republican Party. We're given notice. The White House made calls to congressional leadership. They were bipartisan calls. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries couldn't be reached. We tried him before the strike, and he didn't pick up the phone, but he was briefed after.
Caroline Leavitt, I know that the answer is Trump wants you to go full bore and fall on the attack. And Trump is on the attack on Thomas Massie, the congressman from Kentucky. And he's starting a super PAC, or Trump's starting a PAC to find somebody to run against Thomas Massie. He's always a no. He's negative about everything. He's always Mr. Negative. I don't think you want to say, while you have a razor thin majority, Massie should be a Democrat. I don't think you should say that. Now, as for Thomas Massie, I have tried to understand his positioning, tried to understand his mathematics. I have been desperate to figure this out. I cannot. Is his issue about the money? Is his issue about the Constitution? Or is his issue about Israel? He went on Face the Nation, did the congressman from Kentucky yesterday.
But then I'm going to say I want a peace deal and make the isolationists happy by saying, you know, I'm not committing to anything more than one and done.
Well, I'll concede this. It was a good week for the neocons in the military-industrial complex who want war all the time. I wouldn't call my side of the MAGA base isolationists. We are exhausted. We are tired from all of these wars. And we're non-interventionists. I mean, this was one of the promises. I mean, are you going to call President Trump's campaign an isolationist campaign? What he promised us was we would put America first. And I think there are still voices in this administration. You've still got J.D. Vance. You've still got Tulsi Gabbard. You still, RFK Jr., you still got calmer heads that could prevail.
They were not persuasive in this case, clearly.
Well, somebody was persuasive. AIPAC is very persuasive. For instance, the Israeli lobby in Congress. If you look at my colleagues' feeds now, they all look the same. They're all tweeting the same message that we've got to support Israel and we've got to do this. My question is, does 3 bombings and we're done with Iran's nuclear ambitions? Is that the 2 weeks to slow the spread of 2025?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's what we're going to find out. I think that's what the investigation of what was hit and the damage done was going to show us. AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. I get it. I get it. All these guys are bought and paid for, and they all follow the same line. I believe it was the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. So it's Americans who see things different than you, and you're upset that they're They're good at being persuasive. Where's your persuasion? Hitting these sites was the right thing to do, as I see it. Thomas Massey doesn't have to think so. But if this is the way you're going to describe it, those other guys are just bought and paid for. You're no different than Ilhan Omar screaming it's all about the Benjamins. You can go to hell on that one, Representative Massey. I've tried to give you your due. Doesn't seem that you want it. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. All right, man, we're moving. I agree. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. Everyone's just being nice to each other in the comments. Good to see you. No, good to see you. No, good to see you. You're all just so sweet. You're all so incredibly sweet and loving. It's adorable. Adorable. Get a room. Let's see what I'm missing. Oh, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Angry with the other justices because they're so narrow-minded. That is precious. And then more on the rioters. Oh, I do have a bunch. And now we're getting reports of a U.S. air base being hit by an Iranian missile. I'll take a look in there and I will follow that up for you. So I've got that. I've got that, and that goes there. Oh. That goes there. All right. So much chat in the chat room. Sorry, there's a bunch going on. I'm trying to put it all together. Yeah, we have got interceptors heading out from Qatar because of a ballistic missile attack. This is against the Al Udeid Air Base. That's what's happening right now. No idea how this is going to go from there. All right, so we're going to keep our eyes on this. There may or may not be updates. If there are, I will grab those. All right. I think I got this all together. The watch today is the Rudin record. This is the chronograph right here from Von Reist, vonreist.com. Get your watch assembled here in America. These are actually all assembled in Indiana. Incredible timepieces, all different kinds. And you can get yours that fits your personality, fits your look, fits your style. Von Reist, Rieste, vonreist.com. Use promo code CATS and get your discount. Let's start the show. So Israel has been hitting the roads that go into Fordo. Meanwhile, there have been explosions heard at the Al Udeid Air Base, which is a U.S. air base, CENTCOM's forward headquarters in Qatar. Approximately 10,000 U.S. soldiers there. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. The embassy in Qatar recommending sheltering in place right now. This has been happening only in the last few minutes. So just before 1 p.m. Eastern time, there has been the discussion of these attacks. There have been interceptors seen leaving Qatar during this ballistic missile attack from Iran. We discussed that they would be engaging in an asymmetric response, but we knew that it was very possible that they would go after American targets, maps of American targets in the area. Iran, according to Axios, launching 6 missiles towards U.S. bases in Qatar. We will keep up with this. Now, I will say that if you were going to respond to something, going after the CENTCOM base would be exactly what we would expect. So not so much asymmetric in that regard. We drop bombs, now you're dropping bombs. We see this. The question is, what do we have in can we utilize to prevent this? Is this what the aircraft carriers and therefore the strike groups in the region are there to do, to be able to take out these missiles before they hit? Does Qatar have any of these defenses? I assume that the Americans do on these bases. So this is the latest, that 6 missiles, according to Axios, have been launched towards the U.S. air base in Qatar. That's what we're looking at right now. We will see how that develops. And I'm happy to see President Trump pushing back against Medvedev, because what the Russians said was, we'll give them nuclear weapons. Oh, Iran will do it. I mean, you can argue that's not what they're saying. I'll tell you that's what they said. Is there any question that Russia supports terrorists, that Russia's the aggressor in Ukraine, that everybody who said Ukraine started this was wrong? Ukraine ain't great, but they didn't start this. And the Russians are everything we said they were, and then some. More to get to. I'm Tony Katz. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. All right, we're going to keep our eyes on these stories. We are going to follow more of this. We're going to take the break right now. We're in the radio break, so we're going to take the break right here. So kick back, relax, smoke them if you got them, and we'll be back in about 6-7 minutes, and we will go from there. All right, stereo updates on all of these things as well. Be right back. That's not what I meant to do. Everybody, welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is calling it Operation Fatah's Blessing. Adorable. This is what's happening right now with a ballistic missile launch against the Al Udeid Air Base, an American air base in Qatar. 6 ballistic missiles, that's the reporting right now, have been fired from Iran towards Qatar. This is what we're tracking right now, the very latest that we have. Does that mean these missiles are going to hit? No. There are defenses that are already up. Absolutely. Is there any question that this was going to happen? No. This was always known to be something that could happen in every single way. So we're going to keep our eyes on it. We're going to see what develops from it. This is right now. I mean, I don't want to ever downplay a missile being launched at somebody, but this is kind of. Let me see if I can get this to you guys right here. So this is what it is that they are seeing. Now, it's a lot more interceptors than 6. Looks like a lot more being dropped than 6, but I'm not sure what those other things may very well be. But this is what we're looking at right now. Coming back to the radio show in 1 minute. So what are we picking up? What was able to get through? American jets now being scrambled. I will have all this update as the radio show comes back. I don't mean to repeat myself, but of course, we have the radio audience and we're going to make sure they're updated. So hang loose for just about 30 seconds while I get a couple things together. We'll go from there. Iran has now taken their opportunity to launch missiles at U.S. military bases. The base at Qatar, Al Udeid Air Base. This, according to a senior White House official talking to Axios, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. Reports of six missiles being fired at U.S. forces. In Qatar, you have U.S. air defenses right now taking to the skies to take these missiles out and whatever else may be coming with them. The Iranian president saying we neither began the war nor did we ask for it. Well, neither one of those things is true. He continued, but we won't let the aggression against the great Iran go unanswered. There is certainly no question that something like this could indeed come. There was no question that this was 100% possible. You have the announcement that President Trump is meeting with the national security team. Actually, right now, just after 1 p.m. Eastern time, he is at the White House meeting with the national security team to discuss what it is that the Iranians are doing in response to the attack on the nuclear sites, the very successful attack on the nuclear sites. And there will be people who are going to be screaming, you see what happened? You started a war with them, and now the Iranians are attacking, and you're going to have American soldiers killed, and it's all your fault. That's what they always say. Which leads to a really interesting conversation that must be had for all of the people who make a very unique claim. And the claim is either put on the uniform or stop talking. It's kind of fascinating. Their theory is that if I didn't serve, if you didn't serve, we don't get a say on this because all you're going to do is send somebody else's kid to war. And I think those people are worth responding to with a level of clarity. You're always sending somebody else's kid to war. Maybe it's time to grow up. Maybe it's time to stop thinking because you wore the uniform that somehow you have rights that the rest of us don't have. That's not the way any of this works. Our respect, sure. Rights, no. My right to speak about what it is we should do to protect and defend ourselves is equal to that of yours. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't, what in the world were you fighting for? You weren't fighting for the country. You weren't fighting for the protection of the country, the security of the country, the freedoms of the country. You are fighting for your own glory, which really goes against what you claim to be fighting for to begin with. Now, who am I to decide for you what you were fighting for? Because, my gosh, it's something that could have been very personal, and I'll never know what that is. Here's what I know. Thank you for the service. I'll say anything I want, anytime I want, on any subject I choose. And I don't have to have put on the uniform in order to say something. And this unbelievably obscene lie, or obscene line, this gross statement of, well, you're going to send somebody else's kid to die. Kitten, that's the way it works. And it sucks to high heaven, but that's it. We started a war with Iran? No. Iran's been at war with us. Islamists have always been at war with the West. They've just gotten better at doing it. They weren't? You mean all of that conquest and all of that building mosques and all of that renaming was just what? Prologue? They were waiting for us to come around until they decided, now we're not going to put up with this. It's a disgusting statement made by people who don't want to have a stronger argument. You're always sending somebody else's kid to war. If you're going to do it, that's who you're sending. And you know what they did? They signed up. And we elected a leadership to have faith in that if we're going to do this, we're going to do this well. We're going to do this efficiently. We're going to do this effectively. We're going to do this to the best of our ability. We didn't reelect Joe Biden. We didn't leave 13 soldiers and service members to die in Afghanistan at Abbey Gate. And they signed up for it too. Not for that, not to be abused by that, like that. But they knew they were fighting. It's always somebody else's kid. Should you be mindful of it? Absolutely. Should it stop you? That's criminally daft. It is a gross argument from low people who are unwilling to discuss the subject at hand. Should we or shouldn't we? And on that, we might disagree. Telling people they don't get to speak, ridiculous stuff. But you now have the Iranians trying to strike U.S. bases, and we're hearing that it could be more than just the base in Qatar. Qatar has now closed their airspace. The State Department has issued a worldwide caution and security alert that there may be actions against U.S. interests. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, also issuing a national terrorism advisory system bulletin. The conflict between Israel and Iran has resulted in disruptions to travel and periodic closure of airspace across the Middle East. There's the potential for demonstrations against U.S. citizens and interests abroad. Dear Lord, don't go to Colombia. It's happening right here in the U.S. This part hasn't changed. That there are these threats to American assets. This has been known. So you have this strike right now against the airbase in Qatar. We have reports of the potential of missile attacks against some other air bases and other U.S. Properties, if you will, bases in Qatar, Iraq, Bahrain, and Kuwait. We're going to get the information that we can. The one thing I could say about this is that it's not surprising. There's no part of this that is surprising. I don't have any report yet of impact. I don't have any reports of damage as of yet. Right now, nothing. So we'll see if this is it or if there's more. I'll bring you the latest. I also have a conversation I had with Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army, on what the take is on the discipline of this attack, what may come next, and next moves from us and from others. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. All righty. Well, we knew that. So, all right. Just taking a look around, guys. Excuse me. Just want to see what else is going on, what else is getting hit. I got to admit, I don't know what this means. I'm not quite sure what that if you could tell me, Craig. I don't know what that means right there. It's a statement, though. I mean, that's saying something. Just don't know what it means. If you could, I have an idea, but I'd like to be sure. Yes, more confirmation. Qatar, Iraq, the UAE added to the list. Kuwait and Bahrain. If Iran was looking for friends, they are not finding it today. They are not finding it at all. So you've got 6 ballistic missiles against Al Udeid. Air defensive are active in Iraq, and alerts are in Bahrain and Kuwait. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed, at least what I'm looking at. That could all change in a moment's notice, but nothing as of yet as we are following this taking place. No word yet from President Trump. Just keeping our eyes on the latest. Let's see. Nope, can't get to that. Coming back to the radio show in 1 minute. And then I have... Then you've got the Russians being everything we thought they were. A really interesting story from Powerline blog, which I will get to you. There you go. "30 seconds to the radio show." We'll go from there. Coming back right now, guys. Thanks for the patience. Appreciate it. President Trump warning the Russians, do not give nuclear weapons to the Iranians, because that's basically what they said they're going to do. Tony Katz today. If you follow me over at TonyKatz.com, you would have already gotten this morning this story from Powerline blog, where Dmitry Medvedev, the former president, and now the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, stating, quote, "What have the Americans accomplished with their nightmare strikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran?" Medvedev questioned in a post on social media. "The enrichment of nuclear material, and now we could say it outright, the future production of nuclear weapons will continue. A number of countries are ready to directly supply Iran with their own nuclear warheads." Oh, so first, the plan for Iran was always to create nuclear weapons, and now you're going to give them nuclear weapons? Why would I believe it's another country? Why wouldn't I believe it's you? You certainly seem to know some things, or claim that you know some things. The Russians are not our friends. The Russians are not allies. The Russians are not a good group of guys who can be trusted, and Russian supermarkets are not better than American supermarkets. I'm Tony Katz. This is a recording. President Trump stating on the Truth Social, "Did I hear former President Medvedev from Russia casually throwing around the N-word, meaning nuclear, and saying that he and other countries would supply nuclear warheads to Iran? Did he really say that, or is it just a figment of my imagination? If he did say that and have confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually," says President Trump. "I guess that's why Putin's the boss. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over the weekend, far and away the strongest and best equipment we have, 20 years advanced over the pack, is our nuclear submarines. They're the most powerful and lethal weapons ever built, and just launched the 30 Tomahawks. All 30 perfectly hit their mark perfectly. All 30 hit their mark perfectly. So in addition to our great fighter pilots, thank you to the captain and crew." So, okay, that's on. The story about Russia is important because there are two things to remember. First and foremost, this whole idea that Russia is just being treated so poorly, and Russia doesn't have anything against us, and Russia's not trying to go after us, and Russia doesn't want, and they're not an expansionist power, is all a lie, and it's always been a lie. That is not to say that Ukraine is some great place filled with great people and super fantastic. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you ever thought Russia was just poorly represented, you wanted to believe Russia was poorly represented, or you got something out of saying it. That is all. So we're now keeping our eyes to the skies as Iran has launched a strike on a U.S. airbase in Qatar. Allegations now, or I should say reporting now, that you have attacks against multiple air bases in Bahrain and in Kuwait. The ones in Qatar, you have already the defenses going up to get these missiles and shoot them out of the sky. Sirens going off in Bahrain, in Kuwait. These are at U.S. bases. President Trump meeting with the national security team. Not sure if they're out of that meeting. That meeting started just after 1 p.m. Eastern time. This is, well, what we thought would come. Certainly, we had already seen everybody on high alert. We had seen that they were preparing for what could be an asymmetric response. And now you have this, a very, very easily understood and easy to defend, hopefully it will be, response from the Iranians. This isn't the thing that has law enforcement or military concerned. This isn't it. This is the stuff you know. It's the stuff you don't know that will most concern. It's the stuff you don't know that will more leave you up at night. And that's what we're looking at. We're also looking at the people who were let into the country. It's a good reminder. This, I believe Bill Malugin did this. These people who crossed the border.
You are smart enough, you will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am. Very.
You're not smart enough to know who I am, as this guy illegally crosses the border, but soon you will know who I am. This is what Joe Biden let into the country, and this is where the concern is. This idea of sleepers, to use a word. This idea of terrorist cells. What is interesting is that we have just in 2 days, we have given up the ghost on the idea that somehow Iran isn't a terrorist nation or a terrorist regime supporting terrorism. They're open about it. The New York Times now reporting regarding Iran. Iran coordinated the attacks on the American air base in Qatar with Qatari officials and gave advance notice that attacks were coming to minimize casualties, according to 3 Iranian officials familiar with the plans. Oh, so this isn't an attack. This isn't an attack. That's the myth. This is a, hey, we'll show the people, our people in Iran, just how tough we are. This is a stage show. This is kabuki theater. Somebody get these people a Tony. The officials said Iran symbolically needed to strike back at the U.S., but at the same time carry it out in a way that allowed all sides an exit ramp. They described it as a similar strategy to 2020, when Iran gave Iraq heads up before firing ballistic missiles at an American airbase in Iraq following the assassination of its top general, meaning Soleimani. That's it. We now know what this is. We can see it for what it is. Nothing more than a, hey, look at me. Meaning they knew they couldn't do the damage. Meaning that if they did the damage this way, they know they would get a response from the U.S. that is too great. Far too great. So now, what is the response? I would put forth to you, not knowing any other information and not knowing if anybody gets hurt, I would say the response is nothing. What you have here is nothing more than the posturing of a guy who just got his butt kicked in the street fight. You walk away, and he stands up. He goes, "Yeah, that's right. Walk away." That's Iran. According to one source, Iran's Supreme National Security Council claiming in a statement that the IRGC and Army pulverized, quote unquote, the U.S. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar in response this weekend strikes against nuclear sites in Iran. It further says the number of missiles matched the number of U.S. bombs used and claims the strikes avoided civilian areas with the wording suggesting that this will be the only military action by Iran against the United States. So, a couple things here. Based on, at least on this, not World War III, let's hope that that's the case. Based on this, everybody knew it was happening every step of the way, and nobody's actually too concerned about serious damage, although serious damage can always take place. And number three, everybody's in on the gag. Now, if I'm the Iranians, or I think the Iranians have more dollars or opportunity, wouldn't you do what the U.S. did? And this is a head fake. And if I'm in the Situation Room right now, this is what I'm asking about. Talk to me about the head fake. No, I don't think the Iranians are smart. No, I don't think the Iranian regime is smart nor bright. I don't think they're capable. I think they have a weak military and a weak series of processes. They can easily be defeated. Terrorism is not so easily defeated. And so I would be asking the question that is necessary to ask. Is this the head fake? Is this leading you this way so you can go that way? It's zigging before you zag. The sleight of hand. I don't know if the Iranians have the capacity. I'm based on what I know about the nation, they don't. Does that mean they don't have people out there who've just been waiting? That they do. Because that's what Islamists do. So, I don't expect anything more from these airstrikes. They're going to be what they are, and then they're going to be over. I'm right now not expecting a response from the United States. I'm simply thinking that this will be it for now. Now the question is, what did we really hit with the bunker busters? And is Iran's nuclear capability destroyed? And if not, well, that's going to bring up a whole bunch of other questions. Major Mike Lyons joins us next. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, really, really good to be with you. I love seeing all the people. I'm thrilled, overjoyed. Thank you. But I gotta go. I do. I gotta go from the live stream right now. The radio show continues over at WIBC.com. That's where that is going. So you got to head over there and check it out. My conversation with Major Mike Lyons is coming up. And then some more on where we are in this war. It's not a war. It was an attack, and it was a smart one. I appreciate you guys being here so much. I'm going to catch you tomorrow. Thanks again for coming. Tomorrow at noon.